All right, right across the time here, Julie.
Here.
Lynn. Here. Andrew's gonna be out, Candy. Here. Kathleen.
Here.
Can we grab this?
So we've got no announcements, so we will move on to new business, approval of minutes. Does everybody have a chance to look at those? Nothing stood out to me as an issue.
I didn't say anything.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion
Second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? All right. And now we're gonna get to old business, but I did want to talk about a few things real quick before we get into that. So, Candy, congratulations, this is gonna be your last time. You're gonna do braces with your presents.
This will be her last time that we, I'm sure this is not the last time that we'll hear from.
I don't think that is.
Candidate now, a candidate left Carl, but we'll, I'm sure she'll be around.
So we do need to start talking about trying to figure out Candy's position, Marissa's, and then very glad you made it. Moving forward, do we have some sort of a plan to make sure that you're here as much as you can? Just have a bylaw requirement.
Yeah, because that was only the second one of these.
Okay, I don't know numbers. I just like having you here, and so you're being in the ranks.
I know you have to be what, 70%? I can
3 in a year.
3 in a year, but that the screen doesn't count. So February I was in Virginia to see my sister. So there's times I go twice a year to see my sister for a month in Virginia. So we'll just have to see, but yeah, I shouldn't have any trouble.
Okay, awesome. We love having you here. We just would like
Yeah.
to have you. So,
Yeah, I just couldn't vote. Yeah, you can't, I think that has to do with the state though, but yeah.
We can move something, if the chair wants to move a meeting, I try not to, if the chair wants to move it, that can be done too, so.
So then I guess we just need to start looking for candidates to fill the 2 vacancies.
Yeah, I think I'll start asking around people that I deal with and see if there's anybody interested, if you want to do that too.
Okay.
Does it have to be posted?
That's what I was asking.
Maybe Gray Hill wants to come on.
Right, we have to post it, I guess I'll have to see, I don't know if we post it or
I
not.
mean, I think Gray Hill, anybody that didn't get elected on the city council, I mean, he's been very active with
Yeah,
us.
he really liked our.
And he'd have less stress here and he wouldn't get trashed on social media here.
Depends anybody.
I'm telling you,
This is point though.
this is actually the better board to be on, so.
Okay, so I want to put that in here. Start thinking about it if you think of anybody that you think would be a good fit. Okay, so now consideration discussion about.
Question on what you did. So I'm one person that lives outside of city limits, so the other 2 have to be in city limits.
Yeah.
Just in case, so I know anyone.
Because you're outside too, aren't you?
I am. Is it 2 in, 2 in ETJ, and 2 in?
I'll look right with you, so.
I
There's,
think it's more in, I think it's
it was a limit.
3, it's
3
4
city
in,
limits.
2.
Yeah, I thought it was 4 in, 2 out.
2 ETJ and 1 in the county.
Okay, 1 at large. Okay, can we confirm and just so that we can.
I'll confirm that, so I can ask, so when you're in the city, and you're still a city or not a city?
I'm a business owner.
Okay.
I'm the business owner in the city.
But I don't know if that counts.
I think
It's a resident.
So it's a resident.
My residence is
So what is it?
That's what, we'll talk offline about who's where.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's like me, I'm just trying to get a thought in my head.
Absolutely.
So. Okay.
Find a place on Sunset.
And I think it's important that we find someone in the city because they're impacted by the city taxes.
Sure.
Where people at large or they're not paying any of our city taxes. So preferable.
I remember when they did this when Hans was on, they redid
And I have to look.
Yeah.
The time is not in the state.
Right, they redid the rules because the board didn't meet the guidelines, they changed the rules so that they could meet the guidelines.
Well,
Good job, figured it out.
the truth is a lot of people in the county are very involved, do a ton of work, very appreciative of that. And, you know, without them, it's hard to fill all these boards and all this stuff. It's volunteer work, which all of that. Yeah, we'll, and most.
So my understanding, basically where we're at is Warren and you've been extremely busy with police stuff and election stuff and trying to get everything organized. So right now y'all are in conversation with Tim to try to kind of get a template put together that will actually come before us next week or next month.
Yeah, I really apologize, folks. I thought I had a lot more time than I did. Actually, last meeting we did, only 2 weeks ago. It was not the normal 4 weeks. I can't remember why we moved it up. It was a holiday or something.
Yeah.
It was a clip.
Eclipse.
Oh,
Yeah,
that,
we
you
didn't
know
wanna-
what? You know why I wasn't here? I don't mean to interrupt. I bet you have my old email address. And I bet that I didn't get the email saying that it didn't change.
Oh, okay.
Because when I saw the minutes from April 15th, I was like, what do we have? Why was it on April 15th?
Fair enough.
I think that's what it was, because the association did away with our emails.
Basically, the meeting was gonna follow the Eclipse Day.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make sense.
Right. That would have been interesting.
The non-eclipse, so yeah.
Everybody's pretty busy.
What I did, so that we can actually start writing it, I kind of went through today, what we went, and yes, I listened to everybody, and sorry, you guys kind of repeated yourself a few times at the meeting. Last, a couple of weeks ago. So I wanted to kind of go through this, make sure this is exactly what you wanted. And the big thing I heard from several people is this would be a big change in how the ordinance, usually ordinances state what you can do, and then everything you can do. And I think what I've heard from the chair, and I heard from other people is you want to state what you can do, and anything else cannot do.
I just think that simplifies it in a lot.
That's simple.
Fewer pages.
Well, sure, but that would actually be simpler when you say you can do all these things, and anything else you can't, you have to ask for a variance for. That's, but it's important that we agree on that now, because if we don't, and I go have me and Tim write something based on one concept, and it's really the opposite, then we just wasted a lot of time. So I want to make sure, do you agree that we should write an ordinance based on saying what is allowed and everything else isn't allowed, we have to ask for a variance for? You guys can.
Yes. That makes the most sense to me. Laura, from a council standpoint, do you think that that makes sense? Because right now, it seems like it's pretty ambiguous in terms of if it's not listed, well, people come up with clever things all the time. And I think if we don't have to have 99 definitions.
Right, I think, like, if there's a, and it's for the, just as an example for when it's a new business, for a business type, there's always a new business that can be created, so that's why you put the approved things and not allowed.
So we think that this could work on it?
Yeah, I thought, Tim, that's fine if you do it that way, just legally you can, I just want to make
Why does
sure.
nobody do that?
What's that?
Why do most places not do that?
Your people usually say what you can do.
Attorneys getting paid on word, and they don't put the caveat, if it's not mentioned, you can't do it. So people think if they can do it because it's not mentioned.
It might, when you say only what's allowed, it might feel a little more authoritarian and less freedom, maybe, but I think doing it the opposite way, you run into problems of
To do this.
forgetting something,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and to be honest, this community is pretty restrictive, so I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think, it is what it is. So I don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to make sure that was the most important thing that we got here was.
But we actually want to be less restrictive and more creative.
Well, I think the sign ordinance as a whole makes it way less restrictive.
Yeah.
That's the way you have it, and we'll go through this real quick. You basically have it so it'll be less restrictive.
Yeah.
You have way. more
Except for the
restrictive.
historical district, and that's a separate thing.
Correct, that's right.
So we don't get rid of it. Which is a lot.
So for one more restriction, big restriction, y'all agree that you want no pole signs. Okay, and with that, I'm gonna go to the last item. Any sign has to be removed and loses grandfathering if there's a 30% sign damage or more. So, I mean, and that's pretty standard in most places. So those, the first item and the last item are basically tied together. Everybody's okay with that, right?
And so I just have a quick question. If someone has a pole sign in town, now they're required to take it down, correct? They're gonna call it
Grandfathered in until the damage to where, if they have to replace the sign, that was making them take down the whole pole sign.
Okay.
Used to be, if the pole wasn't damaged, you would allow them to keep it. If we're saying now no pole sign, if there's any damage to that face, then they have to replace 1/3% or have to take down the whole pole. And we'll make sure that's clear.
Okay.
Or until purchase.
So if they're grandfathered in right now, if they're grandfathered in with a sign that is damaged 30% or more, are they still grandfathered? And if they have to take it down if it's damaged, if they currently have one, it's damaged, are they grandfathered?
So there's current sign elements right now. The only way I was making them take down the pole sign is the actual pole, to remove it, would be actually if the pole had to be removed. Like if the whole pole and everything had to be removed, then they couldn't do it. But what they've been doing is they've been replacing signs and keeping their pole. Example, Hueros, that's a really small pole sign, but Hueros up there just did that.
Where?
It's Hueros. It is right next to,
Here's entire, the
Here's-
taco place.
there you go.
The taco place.
I
Taco
saw.
Do they have good tacos?
Oh, they're great taco. Oh, you didn't.
Now we got a
understand that.
taco place on the video truck. I didn't realize there was a good taco place up there. Okay, that's exciting.
So the way the ordinances work, and this is nationwide, basically, when we have an existing damage clause in our thing now, if it's damaged, you have to replace it and come up to code, and no pole signs is in our current code now.
And yeah, pole signs. are
Also-
current code.
If they purchase a new property and they go to erect this new taco sign, they can't just erect it, they're supposed to come in, pay their sign thing to paint their new thing, and that's at the point that the sign is no longer grandfathered because the sign's changing, or it's a new owner that's gonna put up a new thing on it. So same with variances, they don't just grandfather for life. When that property has a change, those go away. So it's the same with the signs.
So if someone buys a property and it has an existing damaged pole sign, they should be taking it down.
Yeah, they
They
go
wouldn't
talk
get the
to
pole signs
Warren,
no
and they
longer
come
allowed
to
to be
code.
ordinance. They were before. So before, Hueros was allowed to replace their little smooth off faded out. They were allowed to put their new sign. And now because pole signs aren't allowed, there's no monument signs, and they have to put in a monument sign. Or something.
Or one on the building.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one here was talking about size requirements for wall signs. To my understanding, we had basically decided that it just needs to fit inside of the size of the building.
And it needed to, yeah, it had to fit within the space.
Something a little bit of.
Okay, I didn't let's talk about that. I didn't understand that. There's a lot of talking around about stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was a wall sign, was 2.75 foot for 1 foot of the building side, with a cap of 125, and you can do it on each side that it faces the road.
That's where we started. And then Julie said,
Oh, okay.
why do we need to be so restrictive? Why not let people be somewhat flexible?
If you want to put a sign over the entire wall, go for it.
Okay, so you want it,
Basically a mural idea, but it's the sign that's attached.
it has to fit, you want a border?
No, I think it just has to fit, right?
That's what we said last time.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about this now. It's just, I had a few weeks to think about it, so.
So like garage, can I say that word? The Italian garage. That sign would be okay. Yeah, that's what that's about.
So just back to the same point, what we're saying is this building right here could be an entire sign.
They want to figure that on the side where nobody can see it.
I'm sorry,
I mean, as an example, of a building.
That's true.
Yes, yeah.
When you said this building, no, it couldn't.
Does it have to just be one sign or can it be multiple signs that add up?
I think it's just one on each side is what we said.
Yeah, one
sign on
main
each side.
sign on each side, and then, did we talk about two smaller signs per side?
No,
We did.
we did.
We talked about, I just don't remember what we decided, yeah, one large sign per side, and then if, let's say, Bianca has their one large sign, and then they've got two signs in the window.
You did talk about signs in the window, and I think there was a percentage, and I wasn't quite sure what percentage of one is in the window. I thought it was like 30%, but I could just be,
I thought we said one sign per window. Let me see the sign.
I think we remember that too. My only question then becomes something like, I don't want to say business name, but having a whole window covered in things,
Shell station.
not the one I'm thinking.
Like donuts, fritters.
I've seen enough to do that, how they've got all the stuff in the window.
To me, it's breaking the historical rules anyway, with the blinds.
My point though is, how do we want to
That's only inside.
make it as flexible as possible for people to be creative, but not let it be. Yeah, so one sign, 94 sheets of paper,
I think you do one and make them come for variance,
Her,
that we don't advertise it.
one per
her
window.
tats has the two neon signs, one in each window.
Remember, if it's not
What's
mixed,
up,
then
Mark?
they have to come for variance, so then if it's tacky, you turn it down, like, you know what I'm saying, if we wanna keep the ordinance sort of short. I don't know, I'm not a big 100 signs on a building, so.
What's that?
Probably could find somewhere, but if there's like the flyers, like come to the bake sale this weekend, does that count as a sign?
That is shouldn't.
those are
That's
temporary signs.
That's
Those are-
temporary.
Yeah,
Okay, so are we talking about one small sign per window? Okay,
Yeah, let me say that, there should put something about temporary signs, because City Hall is required by state law that they have things posted.
Well, that's not a notice, not a sign.
Right,
That's, yeah.
but we can cover that under temporary.
yeah, I mean, we have people post anything that's community based,
So,
church is doing a trade cook off, goes on our own.
so the small sign, what's small? 30%? Is that what you said, 30% of the,
I don't think we actually stuck to a number, I thought it was just.
so we'll have to, so how do we define small? What does someone know?
10% of the window.
Well, I don't know if small is even relevant, because if we just say one sign per window.
Okay. I just wrote down what you said.
Yeah, I mean, this was 2 weeks ago, which was like 2 months ago.
Yeah. So one
That's
sign,
like, there's two signs and there's a sign in each of those windows.
Yeah,
What's that?
That's not where I would put them. Personally, I couldn't follow them.
But I think that's the idea, is we leave it flexible enough for people to
Yeah.
be creative and have their own good taste. And hopefully that works.
I'm saying, I not think we should be fearful of something bad happening. I think that we should open it up for people to be creative, and spend their money and like, because like I said, anyway, signs are really expensive. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Sam Sports brought in anything tonight, that was your deal, that's fine. Monument signs, I think we decided on 125 max. Is that what we said, right?
You guys go between 125 and 150, I couldn't make heads or tails.
Yeah, so you just want
I
to
don't
put
remember.
square foot on there.
Real quick, what's a changeable copy? I know I keep asking
Like
that.
in front of the barbecue place where you take the numbers down or what. That's how it was defined in a previous assignment.
So just make sure you're on the, it's 125 square foot, not feet.
That'd be a big sign.
I will say that again. Inches?
No, you have to put square foot into the sentence.
But a
Oh,
changeable,
We're trying to put a wallet in the window.
a sandwich board is not a changeable copy sign.
No, I know. I
And we
would
said
think
no changeable property signs, right? Because they're already supposed to be none. And the ones that are out there are old.
Portable signs.
Okay,
We
so,
can go into
That's
that.
like the sandwich board, portable sign.
What about the ones that are
which ones?
portable signs?
Didn't we say that they could use that stuff, that they have to put it up when it's not in business hours or something like that? Because we were talking about it, people with peach stands or,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
And that was done with additional.
What do we want to say? Put them up at night? Like if they're lighted on wheels, put them up at night?
Yeah, the sandwich style
Not the
boards.
sandwich, the ones on the wheels, she was talking.
I didn't bring the candy bar.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can you give me an example of the stuff you're talking about?
I'm seeing them for special events.
Right.
Where, you know, a trailer literally drops it, meat on the trailer. And I don't have to hear it. It goes away and it's a lighted sign. Well, like some of the text box signs. Similar to that, but on a floor. House.
So portable business signs,
Yeah.
that way you don't associate with the highway issues, the portable business signs.
But that would be,
Is that common though?
We-
Is that, how common is that? Okay, so.
so now if we just don't list that in there, something has some great reason why it makes sense, then we address it at that point.
I think so.
So then we did talk about
We
off-premise
don't mention
signs.
it, maybe they won't. They're right.
Off-premise signs, we talked greatly from this one, what did we decide? I don't even remember.
For what?
Off-premise signs?
They come in for variance.
Okay, so I mean, I know great examples of when it makes sense, but I know some bad ones where it doesn't.
I think this is a little confusing where it says banners, including feather banners, only allowed for first 30 days, because it makes it sound like you can't go get a banner. Permit,
Oh, you mean getting banner permit for special events?
or, you know, whenever like the bank has their interest rates, or Casey has, you know what I mean, like they have different big banners,
No, all banners right now require
a permit.
permits. So
Right,
shouldn't it
everybody-
say banners including feather banners only required for the first 30 days or under special use permit? Okay, and then signs over the highway, I think just adding that in there, you know, that gets complicated because we've got to figure out property can go on some days by the poles, but I think eventually that would be nice.
Or did you hear about that? We're talking about if the city could buy the poles so they're not on tax dot property, so that we can have banners that go across.
Or anyone or any entity or however we want the money, but just something to where we can actually have banners going over to who you want to get. The only caveat I feel like is important on this deal is the bypass is gonna kind of dictate placement. If you're gonna move a pole,
It's gonna be it's gonna be years.
when we were talking about poles that are concreted into the ground, like 10 feet down.
Are we gonna show them by that?
Well, my thought is if there's a bypass, you can farther out towards it so people can see it versus if there's no bypass, then not.
Let's talk about this. Like, at the city limits, coming into the square.
Sure, so you want to make sense, it's that then property becomes an issue, who's gonna let us do it? But yeah, what we're saying,
I mean, bypass is not gonna start till spring of 27, you building it, so you're optimistically looking at if it gets completed.
so I'm not talking about completion, I'm talking about just planning, because we'll have a better idea by the end of the summer. Sure. Okay. Okay, so hanging signs and awning signs, I think this made sense. We were opening up to that being something that's possible, right? Everybody still think that's okay?
2 allowed per side of the building. I don't know where that came from. How many does the city hall have?
2.
And this has 1? What, who else has?
Yeah, there's one.
I think it's one.
The pizza?
I think that could be coming on the side.
But you remember, this is historic district, so
They have to follow those rules.
they have to follow those rules, they're more stringent for the most part.
Except for 2 at City Hall right now, there's not a lot of feature.
What's that?
Except for 2 at City Hall.
That's
She's right, the non-contributing building. You're right, Steve.
More
And then-
stringent, but allowed to do more.
And do you want a minimum height? So you can walk under it, it's not hitting people.
Well, there already is minimum height, and it's 7 feet.
I think so, I think you're right.
It is, okay.
Well, and I also don't think people are gonna put signs in the middle of the wall. I mean, they might, I'm not
You might have
saying.
an area where you have one big sign and it's not a walkway area.
Yeah.
On the west side, there used to be,
Um,
underneath the arms, there used to be signs, all.
So we talked about allowing internally lit signs versus the signs that have the light shining on it. I think that was,
That was what it said, it looked like a headlight.
yes. Yes. Talked about historic district, how shall approve if it meets sign requirements. That's
Yeah.
giving more teeth to the sign ordinance so that it's not depending upon who's on historical, whether or not they approve it. It shall be approved unless there's some big reason why it shouldn't be. You look like you have a question.
Okay, but what was the first sentence you said?
So shall approve basically means that you're supposed to say yes unless there's a big reason why it's a no.
So if something comes before the historic district and it meets all the qualifications, then they should say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's giving the site ordinance in itself a little bit more ability to help businesses be more successful. So that the way that historical is structured is it says basically their charge is to help maintain the historical character while helping businesses be more economically viable. And that second part seems to be missed sometimes, and I think the sign ordinance is a big opportunity for helping the business. Removal and repair, 90 days.
I think that's 60 though in the current code. So my only comment would be to check to try to keep days consistent.
Oh, that's right, you wanted everything to be the same number.
Well, I think it's easier for staff to remember when they see something, then they just automatically know. But it seemed like something was in there for 60 days, but I don't remember what it was. 90 seems sort of long, 3 months after you buy something.
Sometimes it takes a long.
I mean,
That would take down to remove the old business sign.
2060, I mean, I guess. that's-
Well, I would just check if there's something consistent in
I think it
our
said
code
2 years.
originally. It did, but
And
it
we
seemed
talked
like there
about
was a
saying,
sentence,
we talked about saying 60 instead.
because I think you have to repair it, repair sign in 60 days.
That's correct.
So what I'm trying to say is if you kind of make your days all consistent, it's super easy for
Yeah.
staff to know what days are because it's consistent.
I agree. So it's
Throughout
60 days
the-
to fix it.
That's what it was.
Now, I like 60 better than 90.
I
do
What's
too.
happened is, if it's 60 and then there's anything 65 or 70, that's one
Yeah.
thing, but it's 90, that's gonna be like 100.
Yeah, do 60.
It'll be a year.
Do 60.
I mean, it's not-
Change
Yeah,
that to 60.
No, don't forget about, I mean, I don't forget about.
Okay, so that's most of what we talked about last time in a nutshell. What,
And then remember, this was going to totally, this wasn't going to be an amendment,
correct.
this was going to replace.
Yeah, so the idea is
So we
start from
get
scratch.
a little.
Hopefully get this down to something, you know,
You will get it next month.
like 10 pages or less.
I have a question on the fine, and the fine per day. Do we have a cap on that, or is it just forever? Okay,
I mean, you've got 90 days to take it down or apply for variance. And then once that happens, the city starts charging the heck out of you until you fix the problem that you're not willing to listen about.
So I have one last question. So we were removing all color restrictions, so we're gonna allow neons and all that stuff now? Is that?
Maybe you put something in there that says no neon or pink or something.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I was thinking
Pull
about
the
that.
neon, and so you probably shouldn't.
Well, no, we were talking about El Agave, their colors.
Next time.
Yeah, I mean,
Right, but let's say it was a Mexican restaurant, would you say, well, you're not a Mexican restaurant, so you shouldn't have any colors?
I don't think their colors are neon
No, they're not. They're right. I don't remember how we got to neon.
The reason why we wanted, I remember what y'all were saying. Right now, if you actually look at it, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't really enforced it. It says Hill Country color.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hill Country colors are like this light brown.
Yeah.
so we should have
Yeah,
to list all those colors.
No, 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 no.
So how do I know what a Hill Country color is?
We take that out.
It says it says earth tones, moss.
Hill Agave is like a green and white, and it's just red in it.
Yeah. Cause like, I would say we have a restaurant, let's say we have a restaurant called the Flamingo. I mean, they're gonna want a pink flamingo. I mean, I would want a pink flamingo, so I don't know, I mean, I'm bringing that up because
They start a restaurant?
That is true.
I'm not.
How do you-
So I don't think pink is necessarily neon, is it?
There's some neon.
Well, I think
paints
there's a
and
neon ink in a pink.
Right.
They might have a neon.
Maybe what we do is say the bright colors can be in neon, but maybe not, you know, what in the other, I mean, I don't know.
We're kind of not neon.
Okay,
So then you just say, no color restrictions, and then you just have except for neon.
Except.
Are you talking about neon color or like it's actually the neon bulb?
Yeah, color. Like
so
painted
like a hot
building,
pink sign,
star trees, yellow, green.
or like a hot pink neon sign, let's say the quilting place.
Like a black light stuff. That kind of neon.
Whatever
I'm
they
saying?
think.
What if you put
I know
that
you
it should
don't know
be,
what
signs
it's
should be of the 8 primary colors, and then anything else they want, they would come for variance or something.
I think it's something that's-
Secondary color.
Well,
So
I mean,
that's
it's hard to qualify what a neon is.
So the 8 primary top colors, because I'm a guy,
There's
are blue,
4
green, red,
and yellow.
Yeah.
yellow, white, black, purple.
No, that purple
No.
is secondary. You can
So
say-
if somebody
I'm
wants
just saying-
purple, they're not allowed.
I mean, or otherwise no color restrictions except for neon. And then they would come for variance if they had the pink flamingo, well, they'd come for a
And you can do a
variance.
flamingo that's not neon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You need a flamingo.
Oh, I'm just saying,
At least it would deter them. And then if they really had to have it, they would come for.
Yeah, sure.
So part of all this sign ordinance in my mind that we started last year was
Sorry.
the church wanted, and we still haven't done anything for them, so I want to bring this up again, this all came about because the church wanted an electronic changeable copy sign because they couldn't go out there and change the little numbers, the numbers would fly off, they'd get dented, etc. So for me, I was okay with a muted, you know, black and white, or, you know, just a muted, non-flashing, non-scrolling, non-message change. You know, I was sort of for that, so are we totally not doing anything for them and just leaving it
I mean,
as no?
I don't have a problem.
So let's give context.
I think that's
The
okay.
council voted for, it was a split vote, as I remember it. I think it ended up being 3-2 against. I know the mayor was for it, so it would have been 3-3, so it was close. I'm totally for it. So again, if that matters, it was not a strong vote against it. It was a while back, so the vote, the new council made a difference. So you need to figure out what you want
Well,
to
to
do.
me, it's 2024. Who's gonna go out there and do these little signs? You gotta pay someone to go out
And
there.
that's what I was saying.
Like, everything is digital now, so for me, I'm okay with a digital sign with parameters around that sign where the sign looks no different than a sign across this entire building that's now gonna be allowed. So to me, I'd rather see that that sign at the church than this building chock full of signs, because when everyone's got one, it's gonna look bad.
Well,
So
I think the question
I'm
we're
for
into is,
churches and government.
okay, if that's the case, now you're talking about having 12 of them on 281. On 165, or 163, I don't really care, but we're talking about 12 down 281, that's where I was a little bit more hesitant. Because if you allow for them, when you're putting it in the ordinance, then everybody else can put those in too.
But if it's a monument style, not, if it's a monument, it's gotta be mounted, not portable. So it's monument built around with brick, whatever, and it's not flashing or scrolling, it's limited to 2 colors.
And the lighting is low.
And the lighting has to be inside, interior lit, which, I mean, I don't know, it wouldn't look any
That's fine.
different than any other sign to me.
Okay.
Did churches go around the school?
No, we did have maximum sign height for monument signs, which I don't remember what we talked about.
Maybe these could be a little smaller since they are totally lit, maybe.
Did we talk about like 4 feet or what?
4 feet is what I was thinking.
And so, if you want to put one of those in at 4 feet and have it be the same footprint as a monument sign, okay.
Well, I think the monument signs got huge, like they're not what they were before.
Yeah,
Depending on the size of the front of your building.
Yeah.
I mean, the bigger the building, the bigger it would be, but we can still have a height requirement. I mean, I want to be able to see over the corner.
I don't know, I just think we sort of should discuss that before we finish, because that's sort of what started this.
So electronic signs, that we're gonna do that, and I am for them, but I do think they should be restricted to somehow, I don't know, business hours, hour that business.
well, we had this conversation too. Now, maybe it has to shut off at a certain time or whatnot, but like the church was saying, they would like to have some type of a bulletin up on their board that might reach out to somebody that went to a baseball game.
I'm just wondering, what's the point of being off of 280?
Because it's lit for the next door people.
But it's really,
Well, next to us, there's a sign. It's the neighbor complains about that light being on all the time.
that's light shining on, right?
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is electronic signs that are barely lit internally, that aren't shining out.
But those are all on timers, so for that to be turned off is super simple.
I mean, it's
even a
hard,
lit
but
sign
I'm
is,
just wondering why.
yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to see what it was. I could have stood up and.
I was gonna say,
And
yeah.
with the lumens, you know, that fit the night sky. So in other words, in my mind, that sign is identical to everybody else's sign. If we don't scroll it, flash it,
Okay.
no neon. And
I
maybe,
agree, I just don't see why we'd have them turn it on. If it's dim enough that we're not worried about it from a night sky standpoint, and it's not shining, I mean, it's not gonna be nearly as bright as if the light's shining on it. Why would that matter?
because I think our night sky, if your light's not pointing down, it is required, isn't it, to go off at 10 through the night sky
Yeah,
ordinance?
it is. Because it's about the going to the sky or going out.
We just have to put in there that it has to follow the night sky order.
That's trying to do that.
I'm just wondering if it's not bright at all. Because you can adjust the lumens or whatever on it. Not affecting the night sky stuff. I'm wondering why, what is the true benefit of saying it needs to be offered midnight to 6 a.m. versus not? I'm not really in one boat or another. I'm just curious why that specifically matters.
Well, I just think it needs to follow whatever these other signs are supposed to be following, because they're not grandfathered in to keep their lights on all night. If the night sky says they're supposed to be turning off their signs at 10, they should be turning off their signs at 10.
Laura, you were there for that, though, right? What do you remember about it? Where was everybody at, and what's the point?
I don't remember.
I remember Rodney's point to it for not voting for it was simply, if we want to allow this, then we need to change the site limits, and it should just be allowed. So he was trying to basically say, let's not do a variance, if this needs to be allowed, let's just allow it. Which was kind of the catalyst for a lot of this conversation of, well, let's look at it, but I didn't want to look at one part of it, I want to look at the whole thing, because I think that we're systematically not helping businesses right now. So
supposed to go off at 10?
That's the first one I've heard of that.
Whatever the ordinance says.
Well, like the Texas Regional Bank sign, that's supposed to be turned off.
I don't know
That's
what the,
one, yeah.
I don't know what
Like,
the
I
ordinance says.
will down here.
Maybe the fence is, has to point down or it has to be turned off, but I don't remember. I have to go back and look at it.
Like the road, the office side that I feel like is parallel every time. I mean, I don't, you know, I leave everybody one or two often and that's still on. No, I'm not calling them out specifically, I'm just saying like, I don't know. if that's-
Well, it's because we don't have code enforcement. It's not that it's allowed, it's because we have no code enforcement. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if it
Sparse
turned off.
code enforcement.
Choose your battles.
I want to be paid for my pictures now.
Housing electronic sign, right?
I don't think any church does. The only thing in town that does right now is the library. And that was given to the chamber by PCC that was then ran by the city.
Okay, I'll go by and look, but I swear it had red lettering. It had red lettering.
That we're supposed to fix it, but we've never gotten around to that. The grandfather's on.
Yep.
I don't want to touch that.
So are we okay with the, maybe smaller in nature than whatever the now new monument size sign is? I mean, or
It
it
still
can
needs
be
to
the
be
same.
big enough that you can read it when it's
Yeah.
by, so you're not slowing down to
Yeah,
look.
Well, I think the whole point of
not flashing, not scrolling, and what? 2 colors or not neon?
Not
Any
neon.
color?
green and off white,
White
Yeah.
letters,
they're black and off white or whatever. But most of those all are.
black
Yeah.
and white letters.
Well, I think the new digital ones now can do a whole lot.
Yeah, drive down to that liquor store
Yeah.
sometime where it's just like,
I know.
Yeah.
And then whatever maybe the night skies thing says.
okay,
We'll
so static electronic signs. Size requirements on these things.
I think it should be the same with the monument, just so you're not squashing to read it. Positive and issue by your government.
Everybody else? Okay, so we have max size on the monument signs of 125 or 150. Which one do we want to set on?
125.
125. Wall signs fitting inside the parameters of the building.
A neon color is an extremely bright version of primary and secondary colors.
So is there a neon light?
Black. It's not a color.
To the secondary? Is it just all color?
White is, it's the louder
Because
color.
because the absence of color.
Okay, so the neon version of no color is still not color.
And black is the combination.
So is there a neon light? Okay, is there anything else that anybody wants to contribute to this before Warren starts beating him over the head with getting it done?
I have a question for the changeable copy signs, not the electronic, but the other kinds. Is that not allowed?
That's what we're proposing as of now, unless there's a good argument for something
They're
different.
currently not allowed.
Well, churches and nonprofits can have them. Is that gonna go away?
We're allowing them to have electronic signs.
Or what they have, the changeable
They can
copy.
change their electronic sign.
Do you agree, disagree, thoughts? I don't want to say something to council that council's not gonna
I don't,
listen to.
I personally don't see a problem with the changeable copy. Like the
Like if
manual.
it's a monument sign, but like, you know, the ones that are on the cart and you can wheel them. Like at the gas station.
Well, we've got one out at Yap Park that's huge. God, I would love to replace something with something that says it's grandfathered in, touching the damn thing is impossible.
I think you're right though, like a monument changeable sign is much better than the big,
Like, I think that's what Sonic has.
yeah,
I don't think it's
Sonic has
supposed
a
to have
changeable.
their grandfathers, but.
yeah.
Like,
but
look
it's
at
a
the
monument.
ground.
It's a monument.
So,
So,
with that and with what Candy said, maybe what it should say for that sandwich board and portable signs need to be brought in. So they're not wheeling up the tractor signs and just leaving them out there in front of their place. They're actually having to put in a true monument sign or a true changeable copy sign, and they're not having this trailery thing on wheels, just sitting out there. So
I like what you're saying, but was that a legal thing? I thought like you could have a car parked in a field with a sign on it and that's, that's not a sign.
Who say that again?
You could have a car parked in a field with a sign on it. And I thought there was some weird law that says that's not a sign.
We'll have to
We're
look.
talking about, we're not talking about a car though.
But
We're
if it's a
talking about,
trailer with.
The trailer with the,
I don't know, it's something we should probably look at.
Our current sign ordinance says that you can't have vehicles parked in a space for more than X amount of days. Which, and you couldn't have signs on the cars that were bigger than like 30%, which didn't make any sense, because you look at real access truck, which.
we're all 300 stuff
Yeah, I don't really care how big your sign is, if it fits on your car, if it's in your car.
and that.
Go get your car wrapped and advertise your business to be more successful.
Yeah.
Great job, great sales tax.
So what about the sign at the barbecue place?
He owns that building.
Grandfather did.
Yeah.
But if
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah.
changeable sign is flush on your building, like against the wall.
Still wouldn't be allowed under what we're talking about.
well, I thought we were only gonna be changeable for churches, schools and government.
I thought we were gonna change it at all, we're just doing electronic.
Well,
Electronic.
that's what I meant, like, it wasn't gonna be for everybody, so it would only be those.
Institutions.
I get what you're saying, yeah, like all 300 stop sign. That's what they have.
Yeah, I think all we were saying was electronic signs would be allowed for institutions.
Because they have the money to pay for it, right? I don't know how expensive they are. Electronic signs?
I don't know if one person has more money than the next, I think it all depends on what your endeavor is, but that way we can at least keep it from being all up and down the road. I mean, it's already gonna be all up and down the road with
The churches will be
the
already doing it.
churches.
I mean, if you want everybody to do it, then everybody put the electronic. I'm not advocating that.
Yeah.
How many churches are there really, though? Only 2 right here
Catholic,
Three.
Lutheran,
Big,
on 281 only.
think so.
Lutheran, St. Methodist,
Next is
Church of Christ, Catholic.
And the-
281.
And then the line.
Is that a Masonic lodge? Is that considered an institution? Maybe you should,
Say that's,
maybe you should limit it to schools,
But they don't
like
advertise
churches.
though because they
Government.
are secret and they don't want us to know what they're doing.
Your secret, the secret, are you a Mason? My dad is.
What about schools, churches, and government?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
because
what
I don't know what the definition of institution is unless you put one in the.
School churches.
it's part of schools, churches, state park.
Oh, yeah.
State park makes sense.
What's that?
State park would make sense.
Okay.
To be able to. Okay, anything else that anybody else wants to talk about on that?
Are we deciding on institutions, or are we deciding on schools, churches?
Government.
Yeah.
I say schools, churches, government.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the next step was Warren's taking us to go start working on punching it out. So is there anything else we want to add to? Or is that? Yeah.
So look, this question, so it goes to city council so they can line out anything they don't like.
We can do anything.
Yeah, okay.
We're just trying to do the legwork to try to help the town and see what issues to do. We did talk about the other signs that attach to buildings and stick out. Do we still agree with those? I don't see them on here, but
What, can you give me an example of that?
For example, pretend like, you know, the little hotel with the cowboy hat on the
Yes.
beach. If that were attached to a building instead of on
I
a
see.
pole,
That's a cute song.
I think those are fine.
Okay. I'm gonna call my phone line.
Why is that?
what were those even called?
Well, they peg them behind them so they come off the wall.
So basically, instead of having something like this
So
in front of the
mounted, would
building.
it be a mounted
Yeah, like a
sign?
mountain.
Mounted
On,
sign?
on the building. We like
Intern. And so we were talking about sign size, you know, well, I saw Rainbird's new sign, it's
Yeah, ever since that truck crashed into them, they're afraid to do anything because of.
well, they put one, I put a new one out. on the building.
I would call those something.
Yeah, it's just called a mounted.
Something like that. I don't technically know what it's called, but
Yeah.
it sticks out to the side. So like, if I had a coffee shop that was on 4th Street over by Texas A&M, and it's really hard to see me because people are driving this way and this way, and my sign is facing Retta's house. It's really complicated to be seen, but if she had a sign that was like this, maybe she would be more successful if people knew exactly what it was.
And she's not in the historic district, and so that would be allowed.
Sure. I just-
You know, maybe what you tell her.
Simplifying it to help businesses have the option of being more successful would be great. Lord knows we need sales tax revenue.
All the time.
Great, I think our job should be to help businesses be successful. I mean, we all need the revenue for the city to do the things that the community wants the city to do, so.
Do we add a section that says
Mounted signs,
Yeah, I don't know exactly the practical, blade signs.
blade?
Blades, yeah. So,
Blade sign.
stick out.
Lane signs.
So then it just becomes size. And often doesn't need to be as big, but probably be green, but what it do,
How are you gonna, what size?
that's the question.
We do have blade, if you look at the UDC and just word search blade, I think there's something about blade signs now in there.
I don't know if we have any in town though, but we do, it is in our ordinance.
Yeah, I don't know what it says, so.
So what's a standard blade sign? Is there a standard blade sign? No.
I don't think it's standard size. I just want to at least put some sort of barriers here so somebody's gonna come in and put some massive thing that we didn't think anybody would want to do. But Julie having more.
So basically you want it to not extend X beyond the building thing.
Standard size for rectangular blade sign, I mean, you can have a circle or whatever, but it says 30 by 50 inches.
That's about right.
It was that standard.
Basically a hanging sign. is what it looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
30 inches. Okay. And then if they want a variance, they can just come out, right?
Oh, 30 inches by 50 inches.
So
50
two and a
out,
half.
30 tall.
So do we want to say 32 square feet max? We want to say
2.5 by 4.5, that 4 feet. That's not very big.
That's like 12.
Well, okay.
That seems too small to me, but maybe it's not.
but then like this one's bigger and they have it at the top where the kind of the roof line is, like that's, you know,
Just like 32.
it's pretty. It's a pretty.
and then y'all see the Starbucks ones, I think those are pretty big.
Yep.
So do we want to just do a maximum size? They can have whatever they want up to.
So maybe 15 feet then? A max size of 15, I mean, it's basically an extension of, it looks like a little hanging sign, and it's a sign that extends out, so it doesn't have to be that big.
So you're saying 15 square feet?
You would think those big enough to be.
Yes, 3 by 5, that's pretty big.
Somebody has a reason, someone wanted, they can.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay, that seems pretty good.
And then they have the building that supports it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. We get some massive, feel a little, trying to do something that was more appropriate for the space.
And is it one blade sign per side?
I think so.
Yeah.
Once again, I don't have any issue with somebody want to advertise to the creative behind the building. You want to pay for it. markets.
Right, like, if
Somebody
you
live
have
in
a
the-
field, it's something in the back, you might wanna have one in the back, like the patio area.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think each side of your building
Yeah.
should be able to be used as advertisement if it's appropriate, if you think it's appropriate.
Yeah,
I mean, like Algado should certainly have at least two.
right.
Okay, anything else we want to go over? All right, we'll get out of here at 6:55.